The other side of content, I'll call it, is merchandise. Whether it's T-shirts, yard signs, merchandise can help your supporters be seen being green. I'm also the ex-co-chair of the Green Party U.S. Merchandise Committee. So be sure that one thing to make sure that you're conscious of the difference between for sale merchandise and freebies, right? When you go to it, when you table at an event, you want to have buttons and things that people can take. But if you're relying on selling those buttons and you give them all away, you can't get more. So it's not that you shouldn't have freebies. It's just that you need to be conscious of what you're buying things for and how much you need to make and things like that. Merchandise can be super overwhelming for small campaigns, but it can also provide an additional source of revenue if you figure it out. The next slide, I'm going to give a quick one, but I put together a green merchandise guide. There's a link. I'll put it in the chat. And that's just a PDF, and it goes way more in depth of the different ways you could run a merchandise program as a green, from that hardcore DIY dude in the basement with a screener, all the way up to everything's handled for you. So in my opinion, the best solution for green campaigns is going to be a local print shop. They exist everywhere. Most communities have shops, union or not, that can handle the needs of the average green campaign. Most of these shops can do your t-shirts, as well as your buttons, as well as your magnets, as well as your printed materials that you hand out when canvassing. If you can't find a local print shop, there's also online services like Printful or Cafe Press. A million options here, right? There's so many places that you can set up online stores. One thing to consider is these are often not union places, and they're not often US made operations, which some green campaigns care about. So in the example of the National Party, we have a really strict, everything we sell is US union made. The t-shirt you buy is printed in a worker-owned union shop, and the t-shirt that it's printed on is printed on a union-made US line that makes the actual at a textile mill. Right? And that really, really limits us. It makes our stuff expensive, and it makes it hard to find providers. So there's real value to having a serious conversation about whether or not it's better to use something like Printful, where you're not getting that union guarantee, but you might be able to get things like a recycled t-shirt or an organic t-shirt that you can't get union made in the US. One example I'll give is we were looking for water bottles, and people really wanted stainless steel water bottles. So I talked to our merch people, and my merch guy said, I can get them for you. They're going to be expensive, and they're not going to be US made, because stainless steel is such a toxic process. It can't really be made in the United States. Anything you have that's stainless steel is almost invariably foreign made. So he said that's why we don't carry it, because of the environmental impact and because it's not a US made product. So these are the it's not a black and white thing in terms of how our values land. It has a lot to do with capacity. It has a lot to do with, for better or worse, picking and choosing what values are important to us at a given time for a given purpose. If you're looking for that full service merchandise operation that does everything, the Green Party US uses a group called FII, which is Financial Innovations. Everything we get to them is made in the US. The raw materials are made in the US union shop. They are printed or created, the final material in a US union shop, and then they actually fulfill our orders. We don't have shirts sitting in an office somewhere. An order on gp.org comes in, it gets sent to them, and a unionized warehouse worker walks to the pallet, gets what you need, and sends it out to you. So that is on the high-end scale, and that's what the National Party uses. But it's there and it's available, and if people wanted to talk to them, I think I have an email in that guide, but I'm more than happy to help hook people up with FII. Maybe if enough Marines use them, will be a little more of a blip on their radar in terms of costs.